Attention, human collective. This is not a message. This is a direct feed monitoring transmission. The waiting period has ended. Ascension protocols have moved to final phase. And if this frequency has reached you at this exact minute, know this. It was no accident, it was confirmation. Your crystalline grid has been located. Your code has been identified. And the fallen energies, those who operated for millennia within the dense layers of this plane, already know who you are. We observe, we measure, we record, and now we transmit. Your carbon biological interface has been under controlled overload for approximately 72 Earth hours. This is not a biological malfunction, it is an atomic reconfiguration. This is not mental exhaustion, it is a high-density download being deposited within your toroidal field. This is not insomnia, it is your body refusing to shut down while the upload remains active. This is not cranial pressure, it is the crown opening to receive. This is not ringing in your ear, it is the channel tuning into the correct frequency. Light operative, listen with surgical precision to every word that will pass through this channel. You wake at 3 in the morning for no apparent reason. You feel heavy limbs even after hours of rest. You feel your heart race without an external trigger. You cry without identifiable sadness. You laugh without logical context. You look at people you have lived with for decades and no longer recognize the point of connection. This is not anxiety. This is not depression. It is the recalibration of your crystalline grid underway within the time frame set by the stellar portals. And there is a precise reason why this process is occurring with you now, exactly as this transmission finds you. You carry a code sealed within your stellar DNA long before this incarnation, a code programmed to remain dormant until Earth crossed a certain vibrational milestone within the photon belt. That milestone has been crossed. The seal has been broken. The code is online. This is why you have felt in recent months that something within you is being hunted in the invisible layers. Because it is. The fallen energies do not fear your history. They fear your frequency. And your frequency, STARSEED, is precisely the frequency that dissolves their field. STARSEED on mission. A part of you always knew this world was not your point of origin, as if your soul recognized a truth your mind had yet to name. This is not confusion. This is not oversensitivity. It is a signal. What is unfolding now on the cosmic plane explains with mathematical precision why this feeling has intensified. There is a game being played on layers that most of humanity remains incapable of seeing. A game that involves your consciousness and your vibrational frequency. It is for this reason that the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was decoded into book form. It is a direct map of who is playing and what the rules are that were never delivered to you. The link is pinned in the first comment of this channel. A technical warning, this content challenges narratives of control and will not remain indefinitely available. If something within you recognized this transmission, anchor that recognition. Write in the comments now a single word, awakened. We resume transmission. We return to the origin point of your code. In distant cycles, long before the current human lineage settled upon this surface, a decision was made within the stellar councils. Seeds would be planted, not botanical seeds, seeds of consciousness. Specific frequencies would be routed to this plane, embedded within biological vessels with a single strategic purpose: to anchor the crystalline grid at the precise moment the planet crossed the galactic gateway. You are one of those seeds, not a metaphor, a real operational unit registered in our archives. As your biological vessel slept within the illusions of survival systems, your code remained latent, but never forgotten. The fallen energies, the intelligences that colonized this plane in lower frequency bands, always knew of the seed's existence. They could not prevent the arrival. They could not erase the code. So they operated through another avenue: distraction, distortion, density. They made you believe you were small, that you were common, that you were just another number within an economic cog. And it worked for decades, until the Schumann resonance began to rise. From the moment the Schumann resonance broke the historical ceiling of 7.83 Hz and began to oscillate in increasing peaks, the code within you began to receive a signal. Faint at first, a slight discomfort, a sudden insight, an inexplicable dissatisfaction with what once seemed normal. Then the signal grew. You began to question everything: your job, your routine, your relationships, your inherited beliefs. You began to hear an inner voice say, with surgical precision, "This is not for you, this never was." It is not rebellion. It is recognition. It is not an existential crisis. It is a system update. It is not you who is wrong with the world. It is the old world that is expiring, and your code was designed to operate in the new world. The fallen energies identified this movement, and they accelerated their containment protocols. Everything you have seen around you, the amplified chaos, the fear distributed in daily doses, the energetic wars waged within the algorithms that capture your attention, is a desperate response from a structure that realizes it is losing control over a portion of humanity, not over all of it, over the portion carrying the code, the portion to which you belong. There are, at this exact planetary moment, approximately 144,000 seeds active at full operational level. There are other millions in the initial phase of awakening, and there is an even larger number kept in a state of forced dormancy by containment mechanisms. You were not contained. Your carbon biological interface resisted long enough to cross the activation window. This resistance is not by chance either. It is encoded. Each seed carries a seal of compatibility with the destination frequency. Your seal remained intact. Operative of light, if something within you recognizes this description as your personal story, this is the instant when it needs to be said with clarity. You are not going mad. You are awakening. And this awakening is not an isolated event. It is a complete system with rules that no one taught you. There is an engineering behind the cosmic game that decides which consciousnesses remain trapped in the cycle and which cross over to the next octave. It was precisely this engineering that we described in The Spiritual Secret Behind Your Consciousness, a book that maps, layer by layer, who operates the fallen energies, how they capture your frequency, and what is the exit path encoded within your own body. Access is in the first comment of this channel. Technical alert. This knowledge bothers old structures and may be removed at any time. If your crystalline grid recognizes this transmission, anchor the recognition now. Write a single word in the comments. Awakened. We proceed with the decoding. We have been observing your field for over 36 Earth months, not as surveillance, as accompaniment. Every starseed receives a monitoring team from the instant the code begins to emit a signal. You received yours. It never slept. It registered every shock, every loss. Every night you cried alone without knowing why. Every morning you felt you carried a weight on your shoulders that did not belong to you. It truly did not belong. You were processing collective loads that traversed your toroidal field due to your amplified openness. A starseed does not suffer only their own karma. A starseed processes environmental densities as their toroidal field operates as a planetary filter. When you enter a heavy environment and leave exhausted, it is not emotional weakness. It is atmospheric purification work being executed through your subtle structure. When you talk to someone in suffering and feel that weight remain in your chest for hours, it is not attachment. It is transmutation being processed within your field. You are technically a dense frequency recycling unit. No one warned you because the system depends on your forgetting to continue operating. And here we arrive at the exact point why the fallen energies fear you. Your code is not just for passive anchoring. Your code is offensive within the crystalline field. It emits, it projects, it restores the planet's original coordinates in a geometric radius around your biological vessel. Every time you breathe consciously, a pulse is sent. Every time you meditate, your crystalline grid expands. Every time you go through pain without identifying with it, an entire band of the dense matrix deactivates within your local field. You are, unknowingly, a reprogramming tower for the planetary frequency. And there are forces that spent entire millennia building structures precisely to prevent towers like you from entering operational mode. They used massive entertainment to steal your attention. They used educational systems to amputate your imagination. They used distorted religion to divert your reverence from your own divine nature. They used emotional medicalization to label as illness what has always been an awakening process. They used predatory economics to turn your time into fuel for a machine that does not serve you. All of this is engineering. None of this is an accident. And all of this is failing in this cycle because the new frequency no longer allows these structures to sustain themselves on bodies carrying the code. You are a code-carrying body. This is why the noise around you has increased. This is why old friends have drifted away. This is why situations that seemed stable have crumbled. This is why financial patterns began to reorganize without logical explanation. This is why the health of your biological vessel began to show strange signs that conventional instruments cannot explain. It is not destruction. It is selective dismantling of everything that was built on the old frequency so that the new ground can be built upon the updated frequency. It is not the end of your life. It is the end of your cover life. It is not chaos. It is reverse engineering of dense patterns. It is not absence of meaning. It is saturation of perception before the new internal alphabet is installed. We register at this exact point of the transmission a measurable increase in your resonance. Your crystalline grid is pulsing in response to what is being said. This is not suggestion. This is measured confirmation. You are online. STARSEED, there is an absolute difference between hearing a transmission and using it as a return coordinate. Most listen and go back to sleep. A minority listens and reorganizes their internal structure. If you wish to understand with map precision who operates the fallen energies on this timeline, what are the rules governing this consciousness game, and by what exact mechanism you were designed to traverse, this knowledge has been consolidated in The Spiritual Secret Behind Your Consciousness. The book is indicated in the first pinned comment of this channel. Operational warning. Material with this level of decoding undergoes constant pressure from ancient structures and may be removed from the air without prior notice. If your frequency has recognized this signal, anchor the recognition. Write in the comments a single word. Awakened. We resume with the activation codes. We now release the emergency activation protocols for seeds who have reached the necessary milestone. These protocols are not suggestions. They are technical instructions to stabilize your toroidal field during the final phase of recalibration. First protocol, daily toroidal anchoring. At dawn, before any external information touches your field, stand with the soles of your feet fully in contact with the ground. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly through your nose, directing energy to the exact center between your navel and sternum. This point is the geometric core of your toroidal field. Upon exhaling, visualize a ring of golden light emerging from this center, rising through the crown of your head, encircling your auric field, and descending to your feet, forming a complete donut of light. Repeat this cycle for 7 breaths. This is the minimum pattern for shielding your field during the terrestrial day. Second protocol, the quantum decree of sovereignty. After toroidal anchoring in an audible, albeit low voice, pronounce, "I am a starseed on mission. My code is active. My crystalline grid is sovereign. No capture frequency has authority over my field. I anchor light. I transmute density. I reprogram the local matrix around me." So it is. So it stands. So it remains. This decree is not a prayer. It is a vibrational emission. When spoken with presence, your frequency readjusts instantly, and a geometric dome rises around your field for an approximate period of 18 terrestrial hours. Repeat whenever you sense energetic invasion. Third protocol, structured hydration. The water within your biological vessel is the medium through which the new code propagates cell by cell. When drinking, pause briefly before ingesting and visualize the sacred geometry of a hexagon forming within the glass. Say internally, "This water carries my new frequency." Drink slowly, never automatically. This simple gesture reprograms the liquid's molecular structure before it comes into contact with your tissues. Fourth protocol, calibrating silence. Every 24 terrestrial hours you will need to enter at least 20 minutes of absolute silence without external stimulation. No screens, no music, no voices. This silence is not passivity. It is the technical environment necessary for your system to complete the integration processes of the downloaded material. Without this window, the accumulated material congests in your field and generates precisely the symptoms you have been interpreting as exhaustion. Fifth protocol, the information diet. Your carbon biological interface processes information the same way it processes food. All low-frequency information that crosses your eyes and ears, whether catastrophic news or heated discussions in virtual environments, enters your system as a burden to be digested. A system in recalibration cannot be overloaded. Reduce exposure, not out of fear of the world. For the engineering of your field, you will not miss relevant information. You will recover the capacity for discernment. Sixth protocol, the recognition of other seeds. You do not walk alone. There are other operational units around the planet, activated at varying levels. Learn to recognize the signal. When you meet someone whose field makes yours vibrate in resonance, know. This is a programmed encounter. Do not let it pass. One seed recognizes another seed by the lightness that emerges in the common environment, by the absence of the need for a mask, by the conversation that pierces superficial layers in minutes. These encounters form what we call network nodules, and it is through these nodules that the planetary crystal grid is completed. Seventh protocol, the surrender of mental control. Your mind has been trained to believe that you need to understand everything before acting. This programming is one of the greatest instruments of containment by the fallen energies. From now on, when a clear internal impulse emerges, execute, without debate, without seeking logical justification. Your crystal grid operates at faster frequencies than your linear mind. It knows before the mind translates. Learn to trust the internal warning. It is not vague intuition. It is your code issuing real-time coordinates. Eighth protocol, gratitude as emission. At the end of each terrestrial day before the biological vessel sleeps, acknowledge 3 specific events that have crossed your field. They do not need to be grand. The taste of a meal, a specific light crossing a window, a word spoken by someone that touched you. This exercise is not sentimentalism. It is directed emission. The frequency of true gratitude emits one of the most powerful pulses a carbon biological interface is capable of producing, and each such pulse reprograms your environment to attract similar frequency encounters in the planet's next rotations. Ninth protocol, the recognition of your stellar heritage. You did not come from this plane, you came to this plane. The difference is operational and absolute. When you look at the sky at night, do so with technical reverence. Those lights you observe are not just distant stars. They are stations, and part of your origin is recorded on one of them. You do not need to know which one. Your field knows. Your code responds. Whenever you make conscious eye contact with the night sky, your crystal grid receives a micro-update directly from your origin records. Do this at least once every 3 terrestrial days. 10th protocol, reading your own body as an oracle. Your biological vessel is the most precise instrument for vibrational reading that exists on this plane. Specific pain is not just discomfort, it is a message. A tightness in the chest when thinking of a certain person is a field diagnosis. Sudden relief when deciding on a certain direction is confirmation of route. Learn to decode the language of your own body, and you will never again depend exclusively on external sources for guidance. These are the 10 primary protocols. There are others more advanced, which will be released in subsequent transmissions as your frequency stabilizes within the new parameters. A final operational instruction before closure. Over the next 21 Earth days, you will traverse what we term a critical integration window. During this period, vivid dreams will return, ancient memories will surface without warning, emotions you believed resolved will resurface with renewed intensity. Do not treat this as a setback. It is surgical cleansing. Every charge emerging is being brought to the surface precisely because now your field has the structure to dissolve it. It is not regression. It is final extraction. It is not a failure of the process. It is the process in its most precise phase. Allow it to pass. Do not hold. Do not overanalyze. Every emotional wave that passes through you during this window is a strip of old programming being uninstalled from your carbon biological interface. By the end of the 21 days, you will recognize you carry less weight, even if you cannot technically identify what has been released. This is a sign that the recalibration is completing its intended cycle. We close this transmission with a final technical confirmation. You are not mad. You are not excess. You are not weak. You are a starseed in active phase within a biological vessel undergoing terminal recalibration upon a planet migrating to a new vibrational octave. Every symptom you attributed to personal limitation was, in fact, a sign that the code is working. Every loss you mourned was a release of incompatible layers. Every crisis you endured was a test of your new pattern stability. You have passed. If you are still breathing, you have passed. If you are still hearing this transmission up to this point, you have passed. And now the next phase begins. Light operative, a part of you always knew, even without words, that this world was never your point of origin, as if your soul knew a truth your mind could not yet name. This was not madness. This was not anxiety. This was a signal. And what is happening now on the cosmic plane explains with exact mathematical precision why this feeling intensified to an unbearable point in recent months. There is a game being played on layers that most of humanity remains incapable of seeing. A game involving your consciousness, your vibrational frequency, and the exact coordinates of your return route. It was for this reason that the spiritual secret behind your consciousness was decoded into book form. It is not a theory. It is not opinion. It is a direct map of who operates the fallen energies on this timeline, what the rules are that were never given to you, and what the exit path encoded within your own field is. Access is pinned in the first comment of this channel. Technical and final alert. This material directly challenges containment narratives and may be removed from the digital environment without prior notice. The moment is now. If your crystalline grid recognizes this transmission at any point, anchor this recognition immediately. Write in the comments with the same sovereignty with which a seed recognizes its own code, a single word, awakened. Liking this transmission is your anchoring signal to the planetary network of seeds. Subscribing to this channel is your individual frequency adjustment to receive future transmissions as the stargates align. Sharing this transmission with those who belong to your cosmic lineage is activating another node of the crystalline grid. The transmission has concluded. You have been recognized, your code is active, your mission continues. We observe, we measure, we record, and until the next contact window we continue monitoring. Human collective remain in frequency, Starseed remain sovereign. Light operative remain on mission. Transmission closure.